So it would appear that I'm alone here in here at the moment. Let's see now. Hmm. Da 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 da. Da 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 da. Da 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 da. Time for the Groovy Ghoulies and Friends, starring the Groovy Ghoulie. Everybody shout! Come on, let's freak out! It's time for the Groovies get together. Oh, we have a second person in here. Hello! Somebody actually came in on time. Alrighty then. Cool. You know, or I guess they just left again. Anyways, everybody shout. Come on, let's hang out. It's time for the Groovies get together. You're gonna see how funny they can be. Well, it's time for the Groovy Ghoulie Show. Do 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 do. Everybody shout! Come on, let's freak out. Hello again. Oh, we got some people coming in finally. Yay! Okay. I see on the YouTube screen here we got 3 people watching now. Okay, so how you guys doing tonight? Hopefully your day's gone well thus far and had a good day and having a good evening. Let's see now. Okay, let's see what you guys have to say here. Greetings, my hydro's out, so I don't know how long I'll be in tonight. Hey, you made it in anyway, so I'm glad for that, ATC. Kind of hard to be navigating dead air here when nobody's in here to listen. Um, but hopefully everything all's right with whatever your, I guess your hydro, that'd be your water system, right? Oh, Mersey dotes and dozy dotes and little lambsy divey, a kiddly divey too, wouldn't you? Old time stuff there, Dave. Old time stuff. So, how's your day going, guys? I know ATC. You just mentioned your whole thing with your hydro. Is that what your water system? Is your pipes burst or something like that? What about you, Dave? How'd your day go today? Yeah, we're coming up on the 4 minute mark thus far of the stream, so you guys got here pretty quickly. So I'm glad for that. Yeah, I said okay. Oh, here we go. Been all right, Mike. Yeah, and I do know that Tug streamed earlier, and I know Raging Golden Eagles um, streaming right now as well. So I know that might have people coming in a little later than usual. Um, Electricity is out. Someone hit a pole. Ah, yeah, that sometimes happens here where I'm at too. That happens once in a while. You know. Um, well, at least you have enough power to be online right now, so that's good. Hopefully everything works out eventually. Um, yeah, so we're at the 5 minute mark here. Like I said, I just want to wait to see if we can get a few more people in. That sucks, action. Yeah. So I'll at least give you guys a little bit of a heads up on what's on tap for tonight. I was able to find three stories, and the couple related to DC Comics, and one related to Boom Studios. So, including Mark Wade is coming back to DC by the end of the year. Jim Lee addresses a rumor of what they said was a 5G reboot, and Boom Studios is giving us a first look at their latest title, Dune: House of Treaties. So those will be the main stories I'll be covering. Of course, this day needs history as well. So, um, I'm on my cell. It won't last long. That's a pity, Dave. That's a pity. I'll miss you, but save yourself for emergencies. Yeah, yeah. As much, I have to agree with him. If you got to go, save your because you don't know how long the power is going to last or whatever. Um, I appreciate having you on. I appreciate you being here. Don't sacrifice yourself for it. Um, yeah. So coming up on 7 minutes now. Yeah. So yeah. So basically, I took care of some stuff today as well. When did some recycling, and then and then I and then of course came home. I wasn't a whole lot in terms of stuff that I was noticing on on the videos today. I know of late Hero Hayes been doing more meme type videos, focusing more on like VTubers. You know, I know Yellow Flash and Tug have been focusing more on mainstream stuff. Um, and then for the most part, the rest of the people haven't been doing as much. So, oh yeah, that's at least what's been going on with the other YouTubers. Let's see. Yeah. So let's see. I already went over what I was going to go over tonight. So yeah, three stories tonight. So I was able to find some stuff. So that was pretty interesting. Um, oh, just so you know, Mike, your stream is still getting throttled, cuts in and out. Nothing to be done about it, though. You know, well, thanks for letting me know. Um, it's cutting in and something. I wonder if something's going on with YouTube or something's going on with the atmosphere because like when I was noticing like one of the other channels I watch, I was checking some stuff out, and that guy was cutting in and out too a little bit. So um I don't know if that's atmospheric or if that's something going on with YouTube. But thank you for letting me know, Dave. I think even I kind of noticed it on mine too a little bit when I'd go on the YouTube page over here. Yeah, yeah. Hopefully though, it will clear up. It could also be due again to the wildfires out here in California too. Hopefully that's not. I don't think that's really the case though, because um, unless it's because if you're saying that you're seeing it too, then that tells me that it must be like something going on with YouTube. Because I don't think you're not in California, right, Dave? Oh, we're past the 10-minute mark. Okay. Mm. It happens to you and Crow, but not any of the music live streams I was. Well, I wasn't aware Crow was even streaming tonight. I didn't see any notifications from him on it. I didn't see anything up and running. I wasn't even aware he was even streaming. In fact, I didn't even see any indication when I just checked Discord a little while ago. Didn't see any indication he was even streaming. Um, so yeah, so I know I'm already past the 10-minute mark. I'm gonna wait just a little longer to see if anybody else comes in, and not. Then I'll get started on the. In fact, let me get that set up. Well, first I'm gonna go off camera for a moment. Do something here. All right, I'm back. Let's go ahead and get everything kind of set up here. All right, I'm going to go off screen again just for a moment here. How did that happen? Okay, so hopefully. No, I'm not in California. Okay, so then it's probably not the wildfires doing anything. It may be some either atmospheric or something with YouTube. Okay, so let's see. 13 minutes. I'll give it until the 15-minute mark. I'll give it until the 15-minute mark to see if anybody else shows up, and then once we get to about the 15-minute mark, I'll go ahead and start on the article here. Um, anything interesting happened for you earlier today, Dave? Yeah, I just noticed when I went over to check the YouTube screen, and I've seen this before. Sometimes the screen does seem a little blurry too at times. Um, on the share screen there. Okay, we're coming at 15 seconds, a little under 15 seconds now. 10 seconds. 5 seconds. All right, I'm going to go ahead and get started then on reading these articles. So the first one here that we're going to talk about, Mark Waid officially returns to DC Comics in December, may write Superman. I'm starting off with this one because this one's obviously probably the biggest of the three. As everybody knows, Mark Waid's been involved in that in the TCPA lawsuit, anti-slap suit with Richard Meyer. So veteran comic book writer Mark Waid is making his way back to DC by the end of the year to write for a tie-in for their upcoming crossover event. There's a picture of him right there with the Superman cap on. Um, in the recent solicitation for Dark Knight's death metal, the last stories of the DC Universe #1, um, Wade's name is listed among the issue's contributing writers. I wonder if that's their way of saying they're going to try to kill off the DC universe. Um, while the breadth of any deal are currently unknown to the public, the possibility exists that this return may be for the long haul. Other writers featured in the one shot include Gail Simone, Scott Snyder, James Tynion the Fourth, Jeff Lemire, Joshua Williamson, plus many more. And of course, we've done some stories on Scott Snyder and James Tynion the Fourth recently. Um, Wade's return coincides with the recent departures of both former DC Comics publisher Dan Didio and one-time editor-in-chief Bob Harris, who both had their separate issues with Wade from the comic book publisher. There's Superman, Wonder Woman, some other Green Lantern. Didio both hired and fired Wade during his tenure, which resulted in the Kingdom Come writer being disallowed to ever pen an issue of Superman, the title he had always dreamed of writing. He did, however, retell Clark Kent's origins in the Superman Birthright miniseries, drawn by Leinil Yu. Former publisher Paul Levitz also denied Wade the privilege of working on the Man of Steel during his time at DC. Wade's problems with Harris go back to their days at Marvel, when the House of Ideas fired Harris. Wade called him a two-faced cowardly liar and blamed him more than any other single human being alive for the downfall of comics in the 1990s. Given that Mark Wade's Homecoming also concurs with the end of Brian Michael Bendis's run on Superman, set to wrap up in December, the current belief is that Wade will finally get the shot to write a Superman ongoing that he's lusted after for years. Okay. I don't really, man, I don't really know if that was the best choice of words right there. He lusted after the chance to write a Superman story. Okay, what are you suggesting there? Anybody want to take a crack at that? uh, well, let's see. Okay, Kingdom Come was great. I can admit I'm a comics tourist, but a friend had the Kingdom Come hardback edition, and it was impressive, beautiful art, great story. Oh yeah, I know a lot of you are yeah. I don't know any of Wade's work. I haven't read more recent comics, but I do know a lot of people are on him over the whole thing with Richard Myers and diversity in comics. So I know that whole issue is still ripe with everybody. So um continuing on here since I can figure out. Um Yeah, but going back to the point where I stepped off for a moment. So, Dave, what do you think of that idea that he lusted after the idea of writing a Superman story? Ah, Woody's here. At Dave. It's the YouTube phone app. If you have the option of watching on a PC, there will be no glitches. Also, okay if watched on phone browser, but that that way there's no chat. But that way there's no chat. Hey, Mike, thanks for my first wrench. No problem, Woody. You become a regular and you're contributing, so I figured why not? As long as you're here pretty regularly and you contribute, I have no problem giving you guys howdy, Woody. I have no problem giving people wrenches as long as they're active. I mean, I'm still relatively new at this. Just to kind of catch up, I don't know how much you've heard us just talking here, kind of get you caught up on what's going on. Um, right now, of course, I'm reading three stories from Bounding into Comics tonight. The first one is Mark Waid's eventual return to DC Comics. Apparently, they expect him to be back by December of this year. So I'm just going over the article from Bounding into Comics on that. There's a couple other stories that I'll be going through as well. Um, one of which, of course, is the story from this past weekend's um, DC fandom, um, in which Jim Lee addressed, I guess, a rumor about a 5G reboot, and then Boom Studios giving us a first look at their latest title, Dune: House of Treaties. Um, and as always, guys, I always appreciate any likes and shares that you guys can help bring in more people and stuff. That helps out too with the likes and the shares. So I hope you guys like the content and will remember to like the stream when you see it. um, yeah. So, anyways, back to the story then. Yeah. So, oh, Woody. Yeah, that's the other point I was bringing up with Dave as you came in too. So one of the last lines I read in the article was apparently they were saying that Mark Waid lusted after the opportunity to write a Superman story. What do you think of that? Bad choice of words, maybe? Maybe they're trying to suggest something. Uh, I just find the word usage there, the word choice, kind of interesting and funny. All right, anyways, back to the article then. Um, let's see. Oh, here we go. It's also possible that Waid could return to the Scarlet Speedster, as his return also coincides with the Josh Williams departure from the Flash. I guess it looks like they're weighing options on where to put him. Um, at 2017's WonderCon, Waid declared that another dream project of his was Shazam. Of course, Shazam being the title of the Captain Marvel that they picked up from Fawcett Comics back in the 50s. Um, that one is in my sights, he said at the time. Waid hasn't been on DC's payroll since 2008. In the past decade plus, he has served as editor in chief of Boom Studios, another company we're going to be talking about, and currently serves as publisher for Humanoids. He's been prolific at Marvel too, having written his latest story for the publisher Fantastic Four Antithesis, featuring art by Neil Adams just earlier this year. I guess this is what we're looking at here, I guess. However, the author has also suffered a recent string of self-inflicted hits to his reputation, getting into what I've alluded to earlier. Between the harassment by his followers directed towards Antarctic press publisher Ben Dunn, the infamous defamation suit filed by Jawbreakers creator Richard C. Meyer for torturous interference, and his tendency to label everybody he disagrees with, from Meyer to YouTuber just some guy, white supremacist. Confidence in Wade's character is at an all-time low. Uh, yes, we know that he's been going SJW the last year or so at least. Um, Below is the solicitation for Dark Knight. I guess press solicitation is another word for press release. For Dark Knight's Death Metal, the last stories of the DC Universe #1 on sale in December. So here's the, I guess, solicitation / press release on it. Dark Knight's Death Metal, the last stories of the DC Universe #1. Written by Scott Snyder, James Tynion IV, James Williamson, Mark Waid, Gail Simone, Mariko Tamaki, Jeff Lemire, Cecil Castellucci, and Christopher Sabella. Art by Francis Manapul and others. Cover by Tula Latay. Variant cover by Gary Frank. Prestige format, one shot, on sale December 8th, 2020. $8.95 US, 80 pages, FCDC, whatever all that means. The last battle against the Batman Who Laughs is at hand. The final fight for everyone in the universe, the final fight for everything in the universe. And while the night is usually darkest just before the dawn, what would be the last thing you'd do if you weren't sure the dawn would ever arrive? Join our heroes in their waning hours as we show their journeys through what could be their final moments. Heroes that have fought a million times before, but are keenly aware this could be their end game. These are the stolen moments detailing the last stories of the DC universe. Yeah, but then again, is this truly the last stories of the DC universe? So, I mean, um, we've had, you know, because they've had a number of times where, you know, look at how many crises they have had, right? Crisis on Infinite Earth, Infinite Crisis, Identity Crisis, Final Crisis. Um, they've torn down and rebuilt the universe time and time again. So, I mean, is it truly though the last of the? Let's see, writers say the weirdest things. White supremacist doesn't even mean anything anymore, and that's detrimental because There are actual white supremacists out there, people running ruining the power of words. Yep, Dave, I totally agree with you there. And it looks like we have hello, fourth person. Looks like we have a fourth person who's joined us now. That's good to know. Hello, fourth person. I hope you enjoy stream here. Yeah, it's like the way people throw around words. It's like it is disappointing because you know it doesn't have the bite it used to. You know, and it's kind of funny too because a lot of these people who sit there and just flippantly use the word white supremacist or racist or whatever you want to call them, um, end up being the racist and white supremacists themselves. So that's kind of the takeaway from that. So, anyways, let's move on to the next story then. This is the other DC story I'm gonna be looking at tonight. This talking about Jim Lee. Um, Jim Lee addresses the rumored 5G reboot of DC Comics. Yeah, I don't know what the 5G um oh, that could mean fifth generation. Maybe that's alluding to what I just kind of was referring to in a way. And I'm gonna go off camera just for a moment here. I gotta take care of something that you guys don't need to see. All right, so I'm back now. Let's see. And thus far, the person hasn't chosen. I guess if they want to lurk, that's fine. Um, hopefully, the fourth person who just joined us will enjoy coverage here. So, anyways, on to the next news item here. Let me see. Wow, we're just past the 30-minute mark. 33-minute mark to be more precise. So here we go. So Jim Lee addresses the rumored 5G reboot of DC Comics. DC Comics chief creative officer and publisher Jim Lee denied over the weekend that a reboot of the DC universe dubbed 5G is on the way. In a video message that aired during DC Fandom Welcome to the Multiverse, Lee shot down reports of a planned reboot, 5G or otherwise, as untrue rumor and speculation. Um, there won't be a project called 5G or a big reboot or whatever, he said, adding there will be a focus on individualizing titles and character for a more organic buildup of the line. We really want to focus on individual titles and organically build up individual characters over the next year, Lee continued. He further explained instead of renumbering books and going for broke to spike sales for a month, the goal is to incorporate story ideas into the growing quote unquote mythology. We had a lot of great ideas that we were floating around, he stated. And rather than dumping it all in one month and renumbering the line and going um, for that really short term spike in sales, we just naturally gravitated to the story ideas and concepts we love and building them into the mythology, ongoing mythology, in a very organic way, he continued. Now, I hope for their sake, what they're saying here is that they're not going to is that I hope that they're not going to sit there and continue to push the woke the woke messaging because that's going to get them to go broke. who talked a lot about that. Let's see, Dave. Let's see what you have to say. Looked it up. If he's lying, and there is a reboot of the DC universe, that'll mean the fourth generation, New 52, only lasted 1 decade. Hmm. Very interesting to know. Okay, 52 lasted only a decade, um, which coincided with the end, which kind of coincided with the end of the Commons Code Authority because DC was done with the Commons Code Authority by 2011, I believe. Um, but yeah, because you had the golden age back, that lasted from the 30s to the mid 50s. Then you had the silver age that lasted from the mid 50s to the mid 80s. Then you had what I think many would call the bronze age, which lasted from the basically from the late 80s through 2010, I guess. And then now the fourth generation, so in a way they kind of did get shorter the last couple of times. So um yeah, that is a very interesting thing to note though, Dave, on that. It's going to be as I said, though, I hope that for their sake they don't decide to push in 5G the whole a bunch of the woke ideas they've been pushing the last couple of years here, you know, um, just to be cool. Let's see. Okay, I think we read all that. With that said, Lee declared point blank 5G isn't coming because it isn't happening. If you're waiting for 5G, you're going to have to wait for a long time because it's not going to happen, he said. Lee then went on to put over DC's big developments headed our way in 2021. What will remain of the line with getting without getting specific. Now, I know I did cover another story where they did talk about they were kind of consolidating some of the titles. They were shutting down some of the titles, some of the more obscure titles because they weren't making money. We talked a little bit about that before, on the story coverage there, and it was like we lost somebody. That's sad. But anyway, so continuing on here, he teased pretty big ones in 2021 across the board. But again, it's spread out and approached organically when it makes sense within a particular title. So not everything has to tie into the big epic event all at once. So it um, 5G died with the seems 5G died with the firing of Dan Didio, embracing the vast continuity of DC Kanan as opposed to running from it. 5G was his baby. He pushed at several turns while in power. Didio was unsure if the idea would reach fruition and intimated as much in an hour-long YouTube talk with Dan Shaheen last June. Little is clear about what the reboot entailed exactly, but reportedly Wonder Woman would have become the first superhero upon making contact with man at the dawn of World War II. Hmm. Further, the prevailing thought is established characters were getting replaced and potentially race bent. Okay, so actually, we had more to fear about the 5G idea of it going woke from Didio than we do from Lee, apparently. Batman was alleged as one on the auction block. A Caped Crusader of color was and we've been reading about this a little bit too. Been some hints at it in some of the stories that we've been reading as well. A Caped Crusader of color was promised a debut by 2021, which turned out to be true apart from a brand wide reboot through the limited series written by screenwriter John Ridley. For now, there's no reboot on the horizon for the comics, but I suppose we'll see. Interestingly, the film universe is getting one. Conversely, in the Flash, minus the pint, minus the print stuff following suit. What do you make of these comments? Are you glad that a reboot of DC Comics will not be happening, or are you saddened by the prospect? Well, good question. So, what do you guys think? Dave? What do you think of that? And whoever else, Woody, and whoever else is here. What do you guys think of that? What do you guys think of the possibility of the reboot idea and whether or not it's happening? Like I said, I'm a tourist. I don't keep up. Fair enough. I don't keep up as much on the current comic scene as well. I mean, I do these news articles because I figure there are people who do and would probably like to know. So, uh, every now and then, I'll see compilation of issues put out as a hardback and look at it. All right. So, hmm. Okay, so with that being said, then looks like we went down to two people. Not as many people on tonight. Then again, I know there's been issues with YouTube and stuff like that. I do get that. Um, so, anyways, then I guess we'll move on to the next story. Then I've also got to go off screen for a moment. So just hang in there, guys. Okay. All right then. So this is the next article we're going to be looking at right here. Um, Dune House Atreides first look reveal. I believe, yeah, that's the name of the title here, the article. So let's get going here. Um, with this one, Boom Studios recently revealed a first look at for their upcoming Dune House Atreides series by Brian Herbert, Kevin J. Anderson, and Dev Pramanik. The 12-issue series is based on the prequel novel written by Herbert and Anderson, based on Dune creator Frank Herbert's Frank Herbert's notes. The series will showcase Herbert's Dune characters before their involvement in the first novel. Okay, so here's some of the artwork it looks like, and some of the stuff going on here. Dune House of Treaties #1. Main cover art by Jai Lee. We of course talked about Jai Lee recently, as you know he was kind of a target of Tom King. Um, it seems Pardot Kynes attempting to discover the ecological secrets of the desert planet Arrakis. Elsewhere, Shaddam Corino, the son of Emperor Elrud, plans a violent coup. The series will also showcase a young 8-year-old Duncan Idaho as he attempts to escape the cruel slavery of his masters. Leto Atreides will also begin his faithful journey. Now, mind you, I've never read Dune, so I have no idea what some of this stuff is about. But so here's the official description from Boom Studios. Set in the years leading up the Hugo and Nebula award-winning Dune, which inspired the upcoming feature film from Legendary Pictures, Dune House of Treaties. Um, Legendary Pictures, Dune House of Treaties transports readers to the far future on the desert planet Arrakis, where Pardot Kynes seeks its ecological secrets in remote, desolate regions of the alien world. Meanwhile, a violent coup is planned by Shaddam Corino, the son of Emperor Elrud. Far away, an 8-year-old slave, Duncan Idaho, seeks to escape his cruel masters, and a young man named Leto Atreides begins a fateful journey. These unlikely souls are drawn together first as renegades and then as something more as they discover their true fate to change the very shape of history. It almost sounds like the way they're pitching this, it's like this group of characters they're gonna try to basically make into some kind of family unit or something like that. That's at least the impression I'm getting. Don't know if any of you agree with that, but especially when you see that the title of it's called Dune House of Treaties. So um, there's at least some more. It beats running up. It beats running up the white flag. I guess comics are never going to return to those of my youth. Yeah. I may. Well, let's see. I may have some interesting notes for you tonight on the This Day in History, Woody. When we get to that point. Um, Last one I looked at was the Button. Batman and Flash get stuck in a time rip because they find the comedian's button from Watchmen. Okay, I do love me some Dune. I preferred the miniseries over the movie. Um, it was more true to the book, but didn't have the Hollywood budget. All right. So then here's the rest. The series will feature a main cover by Jai Lee with a variant with a variant cover with variant covers by Dan Mora, Miguel Mercado, and more. The 12-issue series is published in coordination with Abrams Comic Arts the company behind the upcoming graphic novel trilogy adaptation of Frank Herbert's original Dune novel. I wonder if Frank Herbert and this guy named Herbert are related. And that was one of the alt cover, variant covers. And another one. That's the main cover. Who was it? That was Brian Herbert. Wonder if Brian Herbert and Frank Herbert are related. Maybe they're father and son. I guess would be my guess. If anybody has has any comments on that, that would has any knowledge that would be appreciated to know. Let's see. The first issue of the series is expected to arrive in stores October 2020. So next month. So Dune House of Treaties is set to debut next month. So a good thing we went over this then. What do you make of this first look at Boom Studios' Dune House of Treaties? Do you plan on picking it up? Well, Dave, you're the one who seems to be the fan of the comic there. Would you be considering picking it up? Um, oh wow, we got 5 people in here now. Cool. Hmm, okay. Brian Patrick Herbert is Frank Herbert's oldest son. Okay. Okay. So that would make sense then that the son might continue the father's work, especially if he's got the talent for it. Um, well, Dave, you're the one who's the Dune fan. Are you planning on picking up the title? You know, if you're going to plan on picking up the title? Oh, I don't know. It depends on whether I like the new movie. It's supposed to be tied to. Okay, that's fair enough. Yeah, so those are basically the stories I was able to find tonight. So yeah, so some interesting stuff that's come out, from over the weekend. Mark Waid is set to return to DC in December. Um, Jim Lee announced that there wasn't going to be a reboot. Um, they are going to continue on with the 52 universe. Um, and then basically and Dune with its accompanying movie is coming out with a new comic book series called House of Treaties. So, and as I mentioned earlier too, when I was talking about this too, it seems like the way they're setting this up is that the characters seem like they're gonna. I don't know because I've never read Dune. I don't know anything about Dune, but it seems like they're setting this up to where the character is going to become like a family unit or something like that. So don't know if that actually happens, Dave. I'm sure you would know that more than I would. You're I think the Dune expert here. So yeah. So you guys have any questions for me tonight? Have anything else you guys want to talk about or anything you guys want to bring up? Um you want to ask about or talk about in terms of the niche scene? Yeah, we're already past the 50, but we're coming up on the hour mark, of course. So what do you guys think of Mark Wade's return to DC, or DC's announcement? Well, no, we've been talking a lot about that stuff already. So, you guys have any more comments on those, or do you have anything else you guys want to talk about or ask about? Here we go. I never really needed to know about those characters' past beyond what the book already covered. But seeing how Duncan Idaho became a badass combatant might be interesting. Yeah, well, yeah, I could see that because a lot of times you have a lot. That's a common story element right there, in which somebody who may be in a weakened position, like maybe a slave or something, then all of a sudden becomes a hero, or due to the harsh circumstances of their upbringing, then ends up becoming a hero. So that sounds like a Wade versus our boy Zach. Yep, yeah, Woody. That's one of the things that was going on. That's one of the things they even mentioned, that I guess some of his more recent issues with that, and basically sitting there calling everybody a white supremacist, have called into question his character. So, yeah. G57. Oh, wait, actually. Oh, I'm still plenty upset about Wade. I'm sure a lot of people are. I mean, you even got people in the people in the Vic situation still upset about that situation. That situation's gone on for not quite as long as the Meyer Wade situation, but still, got a lot of heated animosity towards the situation. Yeah, so have you guys been watching any like interesting animes or cartoons or anything like that? I don't know if you're as much into anime, Woody, but hmm, yeah. So we're coming up on the hour mark here. Hmm. See what Dave has to say here. I got caught up on Ascendance of a Bookworm. That show is so wholesome. Hmm. Yeah. Also caught up on The Boys, self-aware superhero show. Okay. Alright. Yeah. So All right, so you got well. Dave is going to be the first time in a few days that you'll be a part of this. Are you guys ready for this day in Nietzsche history? You guys ready for this day in Nietzsche history? Look back at the past today, with today being I'm ready. Ready? Okay. Um, well, I just saw something on my notifications that Crow, I guess, is streaming tonight. I'm ready. I'm Teddy. Okay. What happened today? Um, Not today, Dave. This is a segment I call "This Day in Each History." So what I do is I look back to the past. Ready? Okay. I look to the past and look, what happened on this day in each. In other words, what happened on this day, and like typing into a phone. Yeah, I get it. Can be kind of hard, especially when you got your hands are pretty big and you're not the most coordinated person either. So I get that. Woody. Yeah. So Dave, what I do on this segment, I call it "This Day in Each History." I look back to the past and look some stuff happened like in anime, cartoons, comics, manga, pro wrestling. Like talk about like releases that happened on this day and the like. So, and I got some pretty interesting older stuff too. I know that's what I meant, Mike. Yeah. Okay. Okay. I'm only reading, so um, I know sometimes typos happen. Um, so okay. So with that, then let me just review some stuff real quick here. Yeah, 1945, 1945, and then 1970. Okay. So I got some good stuff from the past. I know sometimes I end up having stuff from just more recently, like within the last 10 years. But today it's all 50 years plus, basically. Um, so so let's get started here. So today being September the 15th, 2020, let's take a look at what happened on this day in Nietzsche history. Um, hey, Anonymity. Oh boy, hey, just got home, going to eat, be listening in. Yeah, you pretty much missed the majority of the show, my friend. We're about to wrap up here, but thank you for coming in. Thank you for coming and joining us. You can go back and look over the stories again later. Just to kind of give you a quick little wrap up of what we talked about tonight. There were three stories, two of them from DC, in which uh, there was an announcement that Mark Wade should be returning to DC in December. Um, Jim Lee announced that there would not be a reboot, a 5G reboot, and then Boom Studios gave us the first look into the Dune House of Treaties series. So those are the three stories we covered today. But now, going on to this day in each history, which is September the which day is September the 15th, 2020. So let's, as I said, take a look now at what happened on this date in each history. First off, on this day in 1945, Archie Comics, at the time known as MLJ Magazines Incorporated, released on the released on the newsstands on this date in 1945, which was 75 years ago today. Pep Comics number 55, featuring, of course, Archie Andrews. Um, Pep Comics, as I looked into it a bit, was an anthology humor title from Archie Comics. It ran from 1940 to 1987. And on this date in 1945, 75 years ago, issue number 55 of Pep Comics went on sale from MLJ Magazines Incorporated, known today as Archie Comics. So, with that being said, we'll move on to, unless you guys, of course, have something you want to add to all that, we'll move on to the next piece of history, which is in the world of animation, the world of cartoons. Um, on this date in 1945, also on this date in 1945, as Pep Comics number 55 was being put on sale. The 7-minute cartoon The Bashful Buzzard was making its theatrical debut. The theatrical short The Bashful Buzzard, created and directed by Bob Clampett, was making its debut in theaters. The character, the short featuring the character Beaky Buzzard. Of note in this is the last cartoon in which Kent Rogers, his voice can. This is the last cartoon that was produced featuring Kent Rogers voicing characters, as this was the filming of this cartoon was completed in 1944 prior to his training flight accident on July 9th, 1944. So also on this date in 1945, 75 years ago, we have both The Bashful Buzzard premiering in theaters and the 55th issue of Pep Comics, the anthology title from MLJ Magazines Incorporated, going on sale. So, with that being said, we have one more piece of history. Um, and it looks like we have a couple people commenting here. Baby Bumblebee song. I remember the Bashful Buzzard character. Daw, shucks, gosh. Yeah, when I looked at some of the film work for it, I remember seeing it in syndication as well there, Dave. So, um, anyways, moving on to the next piece of history, which we jump ahead 25 years from the point that we did it. Oh, Woody's got something to say here. Yes, that buzzard is one of the voices I can do well. Maybe we'll have you on here sometime, Woody, and have you in the studio here, and you can share that talent with us. I'm bringing back a baby bumblebee. Won't my mama be so proud of me? Yeah, I'll have to bring you on into the studio, Woody, to have you do that voice. So, anyways, so let's get to this last piece. So, on this date in 1970, which was, of course, 50 years ago today, in Japan premiered the anime film Cleopatra. So, as the plot reads here, some aliens known as the Palesta um, are planning on trying to take over the Earth with the Cleopatra plan. So what ends up happening is that these three individuals go back in time. These three individuals from the far future go back in time to ancient Rome and Egypt, the time of Julius Caesar and Cleopatra, to see what they might mean by that. One of which intends to try to seduce Cleopatra to to become the greatest lover of history. Kind of trying to seduce Cleopatra. Yeah, I'll just read off the plot. Of course, as soon as I click the right page here. So, in the far future, three humans, Jiro, Harvey, and Mary, discover that an alien race are called the Pasatelli tends to conquer humankind by the mysterious Cleopatra plan. Through the use of a time machine, the three transport their minds into the bodies of members of the historical Cleopatra's court to discover and stop the plan. Harvey, however, vows to use the opportunity to secure the title of the greatest lover who ever lived by having sex with Cleopatra. This is a very adult anime. We're back in 1970. So basically, they do eventually figure out what the Cleopatra plan is and are able to thwart the aliens and save the world. Anyways, I know there's been some comments. So, see, smiley face from Woody AS, and then that anime sounds ridiculous. Well, from what I read of it, Dave, from what I read of it, it it was a flop. Apparently, the movie it was an anime movie, and it apparently flopped. It critically flopped. Okay, it was released in Japan in 1970, and then released in America in 1972. I think from what I've seen in the box and the Wikipedia box there, Discotech Media right now has the rights to it. I think it. I don't know if they ever did dub it. They did say there was an American release, so but I don't know if it was dubbed or not. It apparently wasn't, but I might watch it. Yeah, well, just know that if it is available, it's probably subbed. And remember the time too. It's 1970. So what was going on in entertainment in the world in 1970? We're still big on sci-fi stuff. And remember, Star Trek was in syndication already. I think there were a few others like um, there was a lot of sci-fi stuff going. I think Battlestar Galactica and Buck Rogers those are more late 70s, I think. But back in 1970, there was still really on. Oh, I don't mind old anime aesthetics. Yeah, I don't either. I like a lot of the this film, of course, came out 2 years before Science Ninja Team Gotcha Man, which most of us in here would remember more as likely either Battle of the Planets or G Force. So, so with that, we're hitting the hour and 15-minute mark here, um, and that's it for this day in each history. So, um, but Dave, if that gets you to watch, if showing you the information about that movie gives you an interest in that, gets you to watch it, well, cool. Then that's one of the things, getting you guys exposed to other stuff. Um, so if you can find it and you watch it, enjoy it, hopefully maybe we can get you on and talk about that too, if you do watch it. From what I understand too, the full title of it is Cleopatra, Queen of Sex, too, on that movie. From what I understand, there is going to be a considerable amount of fan service in it. There is, I mean, even the promo picture that is shown up there is somewhat fan servicey. Um, so just be forewarned of that. But I think it still does sound like an interesting movie. It was apparently a critical flop. So, um, but with that, is there anything else you guys want to ask or talk about? Um, as we wind down here. And wait and see if anybody maybe has any questions or anything they want to add to the conversation here. Huh? Um, I found it already, and I got nothing to add. All right. Well, we're coming up on an hour and 20 here, so I'm gonna wrap this up, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed the stream tonight. I always appreciate the likes and the shares when you guys like and share with me. I always appreciate your contributions to the stream. I hope you guys will continue to come and check them out nightly as I do um, every night. Um, Now this Friday, I don't have any guests coming in. I'm working on hopefully getting a guest for next Friday. It's next Friday being the 25th, going to be the Friday after Vic's appeal. I'm working on trying to get some people in to talk about, of course, the Vic situation, as well as whatever other news items are going on during that day, and and of course, Niche talk. So let's see what you guys are saying here. As you guys are saying here, I'm going to go look for that Cleopatra movie. Good night, Mike. Good night, Woody. Good night, Dave. Good night, Dave and Mike. All right, guys. Well, thank you all for joining me. If you missed part of the stream, I do keep them up. So if you want to go back and check out the stories we talked about earlier, more than welcome to. And I will hopefully see you guys tomorrow night. So good night, everybody, and bye.